Sujay Saha is the founder and CEO of Cortico-X, an experience-led strategy and transformation firm that helps enterprises turn customer and employee experiences into a sustainable growth engine. With that, Sujay, welcome to the event, and we are looking forward to your presentation.
Wonderful. Thanks for having me, Michael. I'm Sujay Saha, founder and CEO of Cortico-X, an experience-led strategy and transformation consultancy. Um, a quick context about me before we get started. I spent nearly 2 decades at PwC, built their customer experience practice, made it to the partnership, and then decided to walk away from it about 4 years ago to start something I believed was missing in the market. Today, I want to share perspectives on AI disrupting consulting, but I want to be clear up front. This isn't just a consulting conversation. Whether you are running a SaaS company, leading a global enterprise, building a tech firm, or creating content that shapes how leaders think, what's happening in consulting right now is a preview of what is coming for every knowledge intensive industry. The patterns are the same. So I would encourage you to listen through the lenses of your own business. And yeah, let's get into it. Is AI eating consulting? Let's look at both sides. Uh, what the firms are betting. Major firms have consistently invested over $10 billion in uh, AI capabilities. Deloitte hit $70 billion in global revenue last year. EY, Ernst& Young, reported a 30% jump in AI related service revenue. And similar stats for other kinds of companies as well across the board. These firms are going all in, upskilling talent, building proprietary platforms, forging AI partnerships. So that's real commitment. But on the other side, what are the clients actually experiencing? This is where it gets uncomfortable. An MIT project very recently found out that fewer than 5% of the companies have actually moved custom AI solutions into production at scale. Uh, Gartner expects 30% of Gen AI projects to be abandoned after a proof of concept. These are staggering. So there is a massive gap between what I would call investments and outcomes. And the question at the bottom is what I think every leader in this room should be sitting with. The old consulting model, built on information arbitrage, or what you call like we know things you don't, I think that is gone. Anyone with an AI subscription can now access that knowledge that used to cost, let's call it $500 an hour. But in my opinion, consulting isn't dead. There is over $6 billion in AI related consulting spend because organizations desperately need help navigating this. They just need a different kind of help. And that's the equality. Um, uh, I would say like that's the equally true whether you are buying in consulting, selling it, or building the tools that are reshaping it. Now, let's get uh, to look at who is filling this gap because clients aren't waiting. Um, in fact, when you see it, there are new types of competitors that are emerging. There are AI native startups automating research and strategy at the fraction of a cost. There are expert networks that have propelled even further. Now, a $2.5 billion market growing at 16% growth annually. There are freelance talent all over the place where you have like ex consultants, but these ex consultants are being hired directly by companies like OpenAI to actually train the model. Uh, Tech vendors like Salesforce and Microsoft selling advisory alongside their software. And of course, organizations are very confident about using the technologies all around and are building in house AI teams, calling them corporate centers of excellence that reduce the dependence on other firms. So, for anyone building a SaaS or tech business, pay attention to this list. Your customers are assembling these pieces themselves. The opportunity is in making the assembly easier, smarter, and, in my opinion, more connected. So, now let's understand the implications of these trends on the clients. A global research firm, essentially, it's called Global Research itself, a leading consulting marketing analyst, has surveyed about 150 senior buyers last year. And I pulled out three stats that I think make a case for why there are firms like boutique firms and others that are more relevant than ever. 60% of the clients are open to working with new and different firms. So the switching cost has become much lesser. 81% of the tech buyers intend to increase their reliance on consultants. So demand is growing, not shrinking. But 90% of the companies haven't reached an AI maturity. McKinsey's own data says that 1% describe themselves as mature. So this 99% gap is the real story. It is the massive execution gap that we are seeing in the market. And it is the opportunity for anyone in this room, essentially, whether you are a boutique consultancy, a SaaS founder, or a leader inside a large enterprise trying to figure out how to actually get AI to deliver value. Um, so, domain expertise plus this AI, in my opinion, beats brand legacy, and speed beats scale. Of course, AI is already proving that implementation would beat the PowerPoints that consulting industry has traditionally helped the organizations with. So, if the landscape is shifting this dramatically, what do winners actually do differently? Here is the insight I keep coming back to. In every revolution, there are a few things that don't change, and the winners hold on to what doesn't change. Whether it was an industrial revolution, digital revolution, or let's call it the AI revolution. And what never changes is this: business exists to serve people, and people choose based on experience. The mistake I see over and over in the consulting firms, in SaaS companies, in enterprise rolling out AI, is they start with, what can AI do? In my opinion, that's a wrong question. The right question is, what experience would someone pay for, stay longer for, or tell others about? Start there and work backward. That's why, in my opinion, essentially the stat that I was sharing, 95% of the AI pilots are actually failing. They are solving for capability, not for value. They build impressive demos that don't connect to anything a customer or employee actually cares about. Maybe that's like a little bit of a stretch, but it's more point in time to what customers and employees care about, and then they forget the larger picture of the workflow that needs to be taken into account. So here is a framework that I suggest for us to kind of think about, consider, and really implementing, whoever you are. Understand the experience first. What do your customers actually value? Step two, identify what they will pay for. Map the moments that drive loyalty and revenue, not just efficiency. Step three, invest in AI that creates it. Technology should share experience outcomes, not the other way around. And step four, measure the return. Um, AI, in my opinion, is an accelerant. Experience is the strategy, and return on experience, ROX, is how you prove it. That's the lens. Everything else, in my opinion, is a noise. Let me bring this to life with a story that proves the framework. So let's consider T-Mobile. This is again a case study that, in my opinion, is a little bit timeless because it's more than a decade old, but it still applies in today's world. 2012, fourth place wireless carrier in America, T-Mobile. Bleeding customers, stocks at $11, basically an afterthought. The new CEO, John Legger, walks in and asks one fundamental question: what do customers hate? Not what's our technology roadmap, not what AI should we build. What do customers hate? The answers were obvious: Contracts, hidden fees, confusing pricing, customers felt trapped and ignored. I'm sure each one of you have like a story of your own. So, T-Mobile killed contracts. They decided to end the hidden fees, called it essentially an uncarrier. Essentially, anything that a typical carrier does, do something different. And that became the brand identity around fixing what people despised about the industry. Now, here is the key insight for everyone in the room. The technology came after, not before. T-Mobile didn't lead with 5G. They led with experience. The fastest 5G network, the T-Life um, app that they had, 15 minutes to really switch the carriers, AI-powered customer service, all that came to win an experience. Address what the customers essentially need. Goes back to the question. The results, 33 million customers came about to become 125 million customers. Stocks moved from $11 to $220, which is a 20x return. Fourth place in America in terms of wireless carriers to moving it to the number one carrier in 2026, or at least it's about to become that. The lesson, whether you are building a SaaS product, running a consulting company, or leading a digital transformation inside a Fortune 500, don't start with technology. Start with what people actually need from you. Then build backward. That's how disruption becomes competitive advantage. I do want to close with something deeper, since we are all gathered over here. Something I really think about a lot, and I think everyone in this room should too. The chart that you see up here, um, what shows a little bit about what happened during the Industrial Revolution. Productivity skyrocketed, but the worker wages stayed pretty much flat for 60 years. Historians called it the Angel's phase. The technology wasn't the problem. The steam engine wasn't brilliant, for all you may know. The problem was the absence of human centricity. Nobody asked, what does this mean for people doing the work? The result was staggering: disproportionate wealth, child labor, entire communities were destroyed. Why does this matter now? Because, in my opinion, we have got back actually ourselves into a similar inflection point. AI is delivering extraordinary productivity gains. But if we optimize only for output, if we chase efficiency without asking who benefits, we risk writing the same chapter again. And this is where I want to speak directly with you as founders, as executives, as people who shape our operations and organizations, or I would say like how the organizations operate. Every AI decision you make is writing the next chapter. Every automation choice, every workforce decision, every product you build or deploy, we have an obligation. We have an obligation to make it a chapter people actually want to live in. Human centricity isn't soft. It is not a nice to have. For those of us building business, leading teams, and creating the tools that shape how work gets done, it is the most important lens we can bring into that. So, with that, I would just say thank you for your time. Thank you so much, Michael. These perspectives I feel are, are really what I feel deeply about, not just as a CEO, but someone who believes that what's best for people is what's best for an organization. That's the belief that Cortico-X has been built on. I would love to continue this conversation, whether you say something here that resonated or something that you want to push back on. um, Honestly, that's what makes these conversations a lot more valuable. Please feel free to reach out. Thank you so much.
Sujay, thank you so much for that fantastic presentation. And quite a few executives in the audience today understand that the intersection of data and AI, pose many opportunities and risks. So, coming up just after the session at the top of the hour, we'll have the Q&A session on which I know you will be on the panel. So, For anyone that is on the live call who has a question related to Sujay's presentation, you have a Q&A box right in front of you. Just type those questions into the Q&A box, and we'll be sure to get to as many of those as we can during the live session.